Maya is the best, ah da da da. We said Maya is the best, ah da da da. I said Maya is the best, ah da da da. We said Maya is the best.
Hi, I'm Madison.
Hi, I'm Skylar, and welcome to the Levin Lounge.
Today on the Levin Lounge, we're proud to welcome a leader,
educator,
and advocate who's making an impact right here at Meyer Levin, Mr. Khari Edwards.
Hey, how are you guys? Thank you for having me.
Amazing, of course.
From public services to healthcare and civic engagement, Mr. Edwards has spent over 25 years working to build stronger, safer, and more powerful communities. He's also teaching civic and voting right here at our school, Meyer Levin.
Okay, welcome to the Levin Lounge, Mr. Edwards.
This is kind of cool. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, go.
What inspired you to go into public service and community advocacy?
Well, my mom was a huge community advocate. I met some of the most prominent elected officials and community folks when I was a young child. And usually you kind of follow in the footsteps of your parents. And she was the one that introduced me to public service, education, politics. She did a lot of things for community. And so I kind of followed in her footsteps.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You've worked in government, healthcare, and even ran for Brooklyn Borough President. What's one lesson that you've learned during that?
That communication is key. Being genuine and sincere in the work that you do is important. And also really knowing what a strong team and community looks like. And so for me, running for office, you started to see what our community needed. Being in healthcare, you started to realize how everything in politics, healthcare impact everyday living. And so for me, I really would say being able to speak to many people and get your message across, learning how to galvanize and bring people together is important. So specifically what you guys are doing here at the lounge, bringing in folks to talk to your community is really important.
How do you define equity, and why is it so important in the work that you do?
So equity obviously is derived from equality. And when we look at the way resources are given to certain communities, the equity side of it means that everyone should kind of have their fair share. It doesn't mean that everyone's going to be equal, but equity means that if this particular community needs more money for education, that's where the resources should go. And so communities where this school and this lounge is, a lot of times we get lack of healthcare, we get lack of education, lack of housing. Where on the other side of town, they got a lot of healthcare, a lot of education, a lot of housing. So when, say we bring $100 million into a community, being equitable is to say we're going to put that money into the things that are needed, not that we're just going to give everybody 10 million, 10 million, 10 million. And so equity is really important, specifically when you pay attention to how your communities look. So, you guys are great hosts. What do you think is something that this community needs?
Well, what I think we need in our community is we need more people to help around. If you see somebody on the street that needs help, probably help them. Be kind, be nice. Don't just walk away and let it be. You have to help around.
Okay, adding on to Skylar, I feel like we have lots of opportunities, but they're not heard. We also need other people's voices to be heard, correct?
Yeah, and to your point, you guys are building community. You guys are now seeing an issue, and the equity side doesn't always need money or resources. It means how do you, again, plug a hole where you see something is. So that way, how do we start that? How do we say now we're going to start walking around and building give backs, right? How do we get the school to start doing give backs? And to your point, how do we start getting our parents to hear our voices so that our parents magnify our voices in the community? So you guys get it. And so that's when we talk about equity, the needs of a community have to be fulfilled. And that's where we talk about putting those resources, not just money, into that.
You're currently teaching a civics class, which is student government, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, what do you hope students take away from it, using it in high school?
Well, so I'm going to ask you guys a question, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
How many of you, both of y'all know who the mayor is?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you know who the public advocate is?
Oh my gosh.
It's okay to say no.
We just spoke about this,
It's
but
okay
to say no.
we just spoke about this, but
Yes, we did.
no, I don't remember.
So part of where I want civics to be engaging is because everything that we do, politics has and government has a role in it, right? From the fact that you guys have to wear uniforms to this beautiful lounge that you have, someone has to now legislate that. And so what I'm hoping to get out of the civics, the team and I that are coming here, that we get you guys to realize that whether it's the street light, whether it's the taxes you pay, whether it's the price of your sneakers, someone in government controls that. And the more you know about government is the more you can impact your community. So that's why what we're hoping to get, not just for high school, but when you guys turn 18 and you're ready to vote, that you're informed about who you want to vote for, why you're voting for them, what they're going to do for your community. Are they going to be equitable in terms of bringing resources? And that's really what the exciting part of the civics is. And, I give y'all school props. Y'all are in it. Y'all are really outside campaigning. We about to start campaigning next week. But, you're into the understanding of community. So it's a great job, and kudos to y'all for being the leaders in that. Yeah. Give me a little applause there. Okay.
Okay. Why do you think it's so important for middle school students to learn about election and how government works?
Because, are you guys 8th graders? Mm-hmm. And you're 13?
Yes.
So by the time you finish high school in 4 years, you'll be 17, 18.
Right.
Who are the new leaders? Who are the ones who are going to be able to vote? In every election is 4 years, right? Trump's in for 4 years. Whoever wins mayor is 4 years. So literally, you guys are the next wave of voters. And so the more you know, someone can't pull the wool over your eyes. Someone can't trick you because you're like, I learned this in middle school. I learned this in high school. I'm paying attention to debate tonight. I understand if affordability is important. I understand what they're going to do for schools. If they're going to take the monies out of schools, you lose your lounge. And so now that's really what's important for you guys to understand the political process, be involved in it. You don't got to run for elected office like me. You don't even have to do any of that, but you want to basically be aware. So when you cross in the street, they tell you to look both ways, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with politics.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What advice have you given to anybody in student government?
Well, I am going to say I am very impressed with student government. I'm very impressed with all of your peers that are running. They know what they want to see changed in their school, which means they know what they want to see changed in their community. Shout out to the 6th graders. They coming for y'all. The 6th graders know their stuff. And so what I'm really being impressed about is how well your teachers have you informed and really how informed you guys are. By you guys doing this podcast, you're now the communication, right? God forbid anything happens. The first thing we do is what? Turn on the TV to get news. Right. You're now the information hubs and you're able to talk to everybody and let them know this is the information they need to know. By you guys interviewing me, once this podcast goes out to the student body, they're going to be like, oh, vote, bet. I want to vote. I want to be able to know what that process is. So I think I'm really just impressed with how grown you guys are, how ready for life you are. And it's been a joy to be in the school.
Thank you. Okay, wait. Kudos to 6th grade though, because
sixth grade's coming for y'all.
Kudos to 6th grade.
6th grades, they're coming.
Okay. How do students' election connect to real world elections in terms of leadership and responsibility?
You guys have been here 2 years, right?
Yes.
You've run for president, vice president, right? Treasurer. Mm-hmm. How does that affect you?
It gives us more opportunities for our student voices, for student body to be heard. And I feel like, you want to go?
Wait, no, continue.
Okay, so I feel like our voices can be heard, and we could also relate to other students because we're not the same people, but we can relate to others, basically.
Right, and so the more that we are different is the more that we're the same, right? But what we're trying to do now is that president is all over the country, right? We want to start bringing it to the local level because the president of Brooklyn is Antonio Reynoso. He's the borough president. But the president of New York City is the mayor. And so when you start to realize that the mayor controls the school district, or again, whether your property taxes are high or whether there's a school bump or the school buses, you start to realize that that affects me directly. So what we're doing is taking the president and making it real life for y'all. And so I ran for Brooklyn Borough president, because I wanted to basically help Brooklyn. But one day you might decide you want to run for city council. City council are the direct areas that affect this community, or mayor of New York City, right? Probably the most famous job in the world next to president. So part of what we're trying to do is make it real for you, because I think the more we make it real and relevant for you is the more you're going to be able to say, oh, this is the role I want to do. But what's the best part of it is, say you want to run for mayor. You can't do it by yourself. You need a team.
Right.
So you're the campaign manager, I'm the field director, and now we're showing how to build teams. And by building teams is what I spoke about earlier, bringing community together, bringing communication together. And there's a lot of money in being a campaign manager. Some campaign managers make $10,000 a month on a campaign, and the campaign is maybe 6 months to a year. So you're talking about $120,000 they make. They take a break and then another campaign. So right after the city election, we're going to have the state election. So imagine if you're a campaign manager, just made $120,000 in 6 months, 10 months, and then now you're going to go make a whole bunch of other money. What you guys are doing for a podcast, this is huge, because how am I as a candidate going to get my message across the entire world or the entire borough? I come on these shows. And so this is the exciting part of showing you guys it's just not about running for office, but there's a whole team in the community behind getting someone to run for office.
He just helped expunge nonviolent criminal records and also made opportunities for the vaccine during COVID. What drives you to focus on these kind of issues?
So I am a proud father of 3 wonderful children, right? All older than you. But your parents are just as proud as you guys are. And so when you start to do these kind of community-based things, it's really to save lives, right? It's so that you can go to college, and when you decide to start a family, that we keep our generations going. And I've been very proud to work with our Black and Latino communities, because we're always the ones under attack. We're the ones that Donald Trump's coming after. We're the ones who always get under-resourced. And so a lot of times folks get put in jail for things that are, can I say stupid, right? There's a guy who's doing 20 years to life for stealing $9 because he was poor. Wow. And so what we were able to do is go into community and use resources to say, we're going to pay for a lawyer so that person has a lawyer to represent them, and now free that person. So when we talk about expunging records, it's about saying if it's a nonviolent crime, then somebody deserves a second chance. As it pertains to vaccine, I was the vice president of Brookdale Hospital, which is up the block, and we lost a lot of people during COVID. A lot of people died during COVID. And even though some people are not sure about the vaccines did save a lot of lives. And so by making it accessible to communities of color, your parents, my parents, people that look like us, we give folks another chance to start over and have a life. So both of them are kind of freeing people from, I call it enslaved mentality, but really freeing people to be able to live a healthy life.
As a son of immigrant parents, how has your background influenced your leadership style and the cause of your care about it?
So shout out to Trinidad, where my mom is from, and shout out to Guyana. Like I said in the first question, my mother really got me into politics. My father's who I feel he's a silent giver, but he's a old school West Indian. So he's like, education, education, education. Do what I say, not what I do. And so I have an interesting story. My dad wanted me to be a occupational therapist. So he wanted me to go into medicine because he's a math guy, whatever. And so my first year I flunked out of college because I wasn't good at math. I wasn't good at science. And I was sitting at home like, what am I going to do? I can't tell my daddy I flunked out of college. And then my college professor was like, maybe you should change your role. Do something that you're good at. And so I was very good at talking to folks, very good at writing speeches and good at English. And so that's what I ended up getting my degree in communication arts because it started to be good. But if it wasn't for my dad pushing me in a direction that was uncomfortable, then I probably would be now Dr. Edwards, right? but it wouldn't have been something that worked for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it correct you worked in both healthcare and justice?
Yes.
Okay. How do you stay hopeful when working on such big challenges?
Because you get to see stars like yourself. You get to see what the future brings. You get to see, two young women deciding that they're going to be part of a podcast, and that podcast is going to change the lives of so many. And so every day you wake up, you're excited because the good always outweighs the bad. And like I said, my team and I, we came into this school not sure what civics is going to look like, and y'all are impressive. And so for us, we're like, bet we're going to go to the next school and have that same energy. And I think the more you guys get excited about life and get excited about your future, then I think the more we're going to be excited for you guys, because you guys have hope. And a lot of kids your age that don't have hope. You have the ones that surf on the train, the ones that are part of gangs because they don't see a future for themselves. They see right now. But sitting with you two, you see a future. You see that, you guys are going to be news anchors or something. You know what I mean? That's kind of dope.
Thank you. Okay. What is one thing you have learned from the students while teaching at Mile 11?
That I kind of wish I was 12 and 13 again. You guys have so much information, but the way you use the information is impressive. Like, we didn't have TV and we had TV then. I'm not that old. But we didn't have smartphones. We didn't have AI. We didn't have Google the way y'all did. But the way you use it to help improve yourself is something I'm so impressed with. I mean, the 8th graders didn't want the 6th graders to run. You basically your peers went around and got 104 signatures to stop the 6th graders from running. Wow. You don't see that in a middle school. You see that in high school maybe, but you guys are tuned in. And like I said, it's probably because you guys are giving them all the information on this great lounge. I'm gonna need some coffee next time I get on, but but I think that's been the most impressive thing, just to see how well informed and educated you guys are at a young age.
Okay, as you see, you're on the Levin Lounge. So if you were a host, who would you want to interview? Like anybody,
So I would want to interview Miss Cummins.
Okay.
Because I've known Miss Cummins for a while, but even as an assistant principal, I don't know what role she plays. So I see her in the hall, and I had to ask her for permission to go to the different classes. So I would really want to know what each administrator really does, because it seems like they got 10, 12 jobs. Yeah. So Ms. Cummins would be the first one, because I had to ask her for permission next week so that the candidates could go door knocking. So I was like, attendance? I didn't know you handled that. And I'm sure that was her that made that announcement about the attendance. So Ms. Cummins would be the one I would interview, specifically too, because she came from Brownsville. So she's on the other side of town. So I would want to see how she adjusts to working on this side.
Okay. If you could go back and talk to your middle school self, what advice would you give him?
Wow. If I had to go back and talk to myself, I would basically I would tell them that the world is a bigger place than what you think, right? Yeah. We should get to go out and explore more. When I started teaching, I taught at Taft High School English, I realized some kids never left their community. They never left the South Bronx area. And so as a middle school student, I would love to do what you guys are doing. Even though you may not leave here, you get to explore the world by doing a podcast. So I would be like, yeah, maybe I got to go to Mile 11 because, and also I went to a Catholic middle school. So we had to wear red blazers. We were very rigid. We couldn't leave the area. But, you guys get to go on the bus. Y'all get to see little different things. You get to go on school trips. So I'll be like, check out what middle school is.
What's your favorite song or artist that always gets you motivated?
So I don't have a favorite artist. I have favorite songs. But my number one favorite song is Blame It on the Boogie by the Jackson 5. You ever heard of Michael Jackson?
I know who Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5 is.
Yeah, so Blame It on the Boogie is the song that, you catch me doing a concert in the car, but I love Blame It on the Boogie. Y'all need to Google that. It's my song. I'm also more of a Caribbean person too. Yeah. So I love a lot of soca, but that is my all-time favorite song, Blame It on the Boogie.
Okay, our last question that we're gonna ask you: what's another hobby that you do other than helping the community?
So I do a lot of writing, not published writing. I don't write poems. I kind of just like writing little notes to myself, but I make sure that my emails, or if I'm going to a wedding, that I write a message in a card, or that if I'm writing somebody a birthday greeting, that it is always really from the heart, and that excites me. Like I love to write, but I don't write for the public. I just, because then it also allows me to play with words and see how this word works versus that word. Interestingly enough, you asked that question because a friend of mine called me yesterday and he's like, I saw the email. He's like, have you ever thought about doing this professionally? And I was like, no. He said, but you made it seem so warm. I was like, because if I'm communicating with someone, I want them to be able to, feel my sincerity. So yeah, I love to write.
Okay. What would be the first thing you would do if you were elected borough president?
So I'm glad you asked that. One of my platforms, so the borough presidents of each borough get a certain amount of money, what they call capital money. And that capital money means that they can build up infrastructure. So anything that they call a brick and mortar, right? So chairs, buildings, all that's kind of capital money, right? It's for things that are tangible. So a Brooklyn borough president gets $45 million a year. And so there were two things that I was going to do. I was going to go to each school in what we call impacted districts. You kind of fall into impacted districts. Like remember I talked about equity in terms of support, and then help them with what their capital need is. So take this studio, for instance. I would probably give $5 to $10 million so you guys have a state-of-the-art studio. And by doing that, then the school doesn't have to spend money for operational costs. And by doing a capital project like this, if this is $5 million, then you have now $5 million to do other stuff like pay your teachers, buy paper, the things that schools need to survive. So that was going to be my first thing, to give hospitals and schools money so that they can use their money for operational costs versus capital costs. That's a dope question. That's deep. That's a big question, y'all.
So thank you for being on 11 Lounge. You're a wonderful guest.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So
of
amazing.
course, like amazing guest. Okay.
When you guys get your Emmy, make sure I'm up there. Yeah, okay.
Yes, big shout out, big shout out. Okay, so once again, I'm Madison.
I'm Skylar.
And this is 11 Lounge. Okay, bye guys.
The best, We said Maya is the best, I said Maya is the best, We said Maya is the best.